And I really hate the name of the village because I always end up saying something like Poke, and this sounds like talking about Pokemons. Ugh. This is better than Pokemons. This is Monster Hunter. In fact, what are you doing watching this Let's Play? Why aren't you playing the game? And supporting our Capcom overlords. But, you know, this is the tutorial school, so we actually get a proper tutorial instead of before, where we had to pick up missions. In fact, the entire one-star missions were more or less tutorials. But before we can do the tutorials, we have to read this info. I suggest highly, if you want to read it, push the pause button. As it'll be apparent in the episodes, when I start getting to the end of, when I start getting to part 2, I'll go through text faster because I'm looking at that point I'm looking at the recording time and I'm going, oh god, this is going to be over an hour if I don't speed this up a little. So, again, if you want to read it, there's the pause button. I'll try to slow down with the text as much as I can, but, you know, for purposes of time constraints and the fact that I don't want to like have a 2-hour recording and have to go through it, then yeah, the pause button will be your friend. But for now, 2 pieces of meat, just like the first game. And already we see something different with the tutorial. We, instead of having to have to go into the advice section, you get pop-ups, which is so much better. And you actually have a character with a proper personality type, if you want to call it that. But it's pretty amusing to read a lot of it. I find it fun to read the sort of flavor text of the tutorials. So we're going to take a nice look around. Lovely pine trees. Maybe it's spruce, I'm not sure. I think it's spruce. Or it could be generic fantasy pine tree. Who am I to judge? So, there's the bed. We all know what the bed does if you've watched the first tutorial video. Otherwise, if you haven't, you can always read what the tutorial text says. I'm not trying to sound like a bigot or anything, you know, like be like tight-lipped and go, nah, I'm not going to say it a second time. But, no, I feel that I did a pretty good job showing off things in Monster Hunter Freedom. I'll mainly be going through a lot of the changes and pointing them out in the tutorial videos here when we get to it. Or when we get to them, I should say. Already now, you might have noticed that well, okay, I've cut most of the load screens out, but load screens are a lot faster, and the game's a lot more responsive as far as taking items out of the delivery box. That's the name. Picking out items out of the delivery box is so much smoother now. And we got a nice view of the area, as well as seeing our new monster type. Well, it's not really monsters, they're like herbivores. You can get meat from them. They're called popos. You also give a couple other things, but I think for the tutorial purposes, they only drop meat. I've never gotten anything but meat from them during the tutorial. So let's take a quick look around, just before we get into the killing. As you also might have noticed, they've given us a better, you know, starting sword and shield to toy around with. You might have noticed that the sharpness is glowing green. That is because it is sharpness is built in tiers. I don't believe I've explained that in the previous tutorial video. But think of it as durability, and the higher tier of durability it is, the more damage it gives, and the easier it is to pierce through certain hides of tougher monsters. If it's not of a high enough tier, your weapon will just bounce off the monster uselessly, and you might as well just toss yourself at his feet and give up. And they're explaining a little bit about keeping your weapon in shape. Basically, when the durability goes down far enough, then it loses a tier and the next tier and the next tier until you can't do anything. And for some reason, I put a piece of meat down. I'm not sure why or how or when I pushed the square button. Oh well, it doesn't matter. There's plenty of meat. I'm still a little baffled over the whole meat on the ground. But let's move on. We have plenty of tutorials to get through. Just you and me, Internet. Just you and me. And they're telling us to put it in the delivery box. So that's the red box we put it in. The item box is the blue one, which we get stuff out of. I like his flavor text. Again, if it's going too fast by sometimes push the pause button. It helps a lot. Also, for the purposes of the tutorial, now that we've all basically seen it in Monster Hunter Freedom, I'll be showing it a couple times to point out a couple of differences between them, but otherwise I'll be cutting them out because it is a tutorial character and it's not too interesting to see what kind of loot you get for the mission. And got a nice quest clear screen. First of all, we can send it to an inbox, or not inbox, but your item box instead of just taking the reward. Secondly, you can go through the items a lot faster. Oh my god. And even just going through the reward section, so much better. Oh, like twice as fast. The game has also gotten the hitboxes updated and all those sorts of things. It's, in general, the game is better just in terms of combat as well. Hit detection, hitboxes, much better. But I guess that goes without saying. Now for our next quest. Ugh. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Teaching us the basics. Oops. Yeah, I'll do that accidentally from time to time. Where I accidentally skip some flavor text. I think there's one section where I push the button way too fast when I'm delivering a quest, and I don't manage to get into advice before before I get the quest complete screen. And as you can see, they don't let us keep the items for the tutorial quest, so our inventory is pretty empty. We have to go out and get some more meat to make a barbecue. But that shouldn't be a problem. They're right out next door, if you will. Plenty of meat too. Especially since I'm not stuck in the Monster Hunter Freedom, just, you know, getting 50% bones and getting really unlucky, so I'm getting more than just 50% bones because, well, fate has a way to doing this sort of stuff with me, yeah. So they explain about the stamina. Yeah, the max stamina will gradually decrease over time. And that's why you have food. And he's interrupting again. Alright, carving out the meat, and then use the spit. We got it. And yeah, you kind of need the music. The music is basically, it's the hint on that, okay, any second now, you need to push the button, and you need to be quick. Getting a gear set that gives you a barbecue stat, or whatever it is called. I think it's barbecue. Anyway, when you get enough of that stuff in your gear, then you can do the barbecue a lot easier. And I'm horrible at this, so I made a rare steak. Those will give you roughly about 25% max increase on your stamina. Burnt meat, just toss them. Not even worth it. It's a gamble. Either you lose 25% or you gain 25%. You don't want to risk that. But for now, we make short work of the enemy, or the popos, really. There we go. Raw meat. Let's try this. Yeah, I'm a horrible cook. I'm a horrible cook. One more try and then, yeah, I'll do some cuts if if it requires that. At least that's what I said to myself. But I got it. I got it. I'm quite horrible at the cooking minigame. I usually just get a hold of a gear set for it, and then I go out in the field and cook barbecue. Yeah.